Welcome to our channel Around the World with Dua Mumtaz. Today we are going to visit Aniakchak National Monument and Preserve in Peninsula, Alaska, United States of America. If you like our informative video, please click the like button and share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe our channel and hit the bell icon so you will receive timely notification whenever we uploaded new videos. Let's get started. Aniakchak National Monument and Preserve is a U.S. national monument and national preserve, consisting of the region around the Aniakchak volcano on the Aleutian Range of southwestern Alaska. The 601,294-acre monument is one of the least visited places in the national park system due to its remote location and difficult weather. The area was proclaimed a national monument on December 1, 1978, and established as a national monument and preserve on December 2, 1980. The national monument encompasses 137,176 acres and the preserve 464,118 acres. Visitation to Aniakchak is the lowest of all areas of the U.S. National Park System, according to the NPS, with only 100 documented recreational visits in 2017. Most visitors fly into Surprise Lake inside Aniakchak Crater, but the frequent fog and other adverse weather conditions make landing in the lake difficult. It is also possible to fly into the nearby village of Port Heiden and proceed overland to the Aniakchak Crater. The core of the National Monument lands encompasses the 6-mile-wide Aniakchak Crater. The high point on the caldera rim is Aniakchak Peak. The lake within the caldera, Surprise Lake, is the source of the Aniakchak River. Multiple streams and rivers within the caldera flow into Surprise Lake to form it. In addition to Surprise Lake, the other prominent feature inside the caldera is Vent Mountain, the site of the most recent eruption within the caldera. The preserve lands flank the monument on either side. Subsistence hunting is allowed in both the monument and preserve, and sport hunting is allowed in the preserve. The region was virtually unexplored until the 1920s, when exploration for oil brought reports of an undescribed volcano. A moderate eruption in 1931 forming Vent Mountain resulted in significant publicity, spurring studies to declare the region a national monument. It was not until 1978 that a monument was proclaimed by President Jimmy Carter under the Antiquities Act. The monument and preserve were established within their final boundaries in 1980 with the passage of the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act. Aniakchak National Monument and Preserve is located about 450 miles southwest of Anchorage, Alaska, on the Alaska Peninsula. It is not accessible by road, except from Port Heiden, a nearby village, and then only to the outer flanks of the caldera. The only ways to reach the monument are by floatplane to lakes, particularly Surprise Lake, or sheltered coastal waters, or by boat or airplane to coastal towns near preserve lands, followed by overland or overwater traverse. Notoriously bad weather makes access to Aniakchak unpredictable. Drop-offs and pickups may be significantly delayed. There are no permanent facilities in the monument, and the NPS does not require visitor registration. Visitor services are provided by the interagency King Salmon Visitor Center in King Salmon, Alaska, shared with Lake Clark National Park, Katmai National Park, and Preserve, and other National Park Service and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service units and Alaska local and state agencies. The monument adjoins the Alaska Peninsula National Wildlife Refuge on its northeast and southwest sides. Monument lands amount to 137,000 acres, and preserve lands 465,000 acres. National Monument is centered on the 6-mile diameter crater of ancient Mount Aniakchak, which was destroyed and the resulting crater formed during a caldera collapse event about 3,700 years ago. The original mountain, about 7,000 feet tall, collapsed into its magma chamber, leaving an approximate 3,300-foot deep summit crater. The elevation of the high point on the crater rim, Aniakchak Peak, is approximately 4,380 feet. The elevation of the low point of the caldera floor, at the mouth of Surprise Lake and the beginning of the Aniakchak River, is approximately 1,055 feet. The monument and surrounding preserve include the volcanic feature, the wild Aniakchak River, the Bristol Bay coastal habitat, and portions of the coast of the Pacific Ocean. Prominent features within Aniakchak Crater include Surprise Lake and the Gates, the cleft in the caldera rim through which the Aniakchak River flows from Surprise Lake to the Pacific Ocean, and Vent Mountain. The Aniakchak River flows 30 miles to Aniakchak Bay on the coast and can be navigated by inflatable raft or kayak. Upper stretches of the river drop as much as 75 feet per mile and narrow to as little as 15 feet. Lower sections widen into meandering oxbows at sections within view of Cape Horn. Interest in a National Park Service unit at Aniakchak was renewed in the 1960s. In 1964, newly appointed Park Service Director George B. Hartzig Jr. initialed a study of Alaskan lands titled Operation Gradeland. The study recommended protection of Aniakchak. Further studies supported the report's recommendations. In the interim, the Aniakchak caldera was designated a National Natural Landmark in August 1970. In 1971, the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act, ANCSA, which established a framework for the disposition of federal lands in Alaska. The process dictated by ANCSA required agencies to withdraw lands which they felt they should administer. The Park Service withdrew 740,200 acres around Mount Aniakchak in 1973. The same year, a 1,500,000 acre Aniakchak Caldera National Recreation Area was proposed, extending to both sides of the peninsula and including Port Heiden on Bristol Bay. Opposition from native groups and the presence of mining claims on some lands forced a scaled-back plan for Aniakchak Caldera National Monument that, at 580,000 acres, was close to the present area. At about the same time, the Aniakchak River was nominated for the National Wild and Scenic Rivers System. Proposal for a national recreation area was in part a response to concerns that national monument designation would prohibit sport hunting. An early version of the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act, ANOCA, introduced in 1977, addressed the hunting issue by proposing a national monument in the core of the area around the caldera and a national preserve, which would allow sport hunting, in adjacent areas. By late 1978, the bill had become stalled in Congress. With a deadline approaching for the disposition of the lands, President Jimmy Carter was compelled to act. Aniakchak National Monument was proclaimed on December 1, 1978, by Carter using his authority under the Antiquities Act. The monument covered 380,000 acres, excluding the area between the caldera and the coast. In 1980, the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act, ANOCA, was finally passed, establishing the unit as a national monument surrounded by a larger national preserve that extended to the coast on the south side of the peninsula. The monument allows subsistence hunting by local residents in most areas, and the preserve allows both subsistence and sport hunting. Sport hunting and trapping are therefore only permitted in Aniakchak National Preserve. The most common species hunted include moose and brown bear. In 1989, the Exxon Valdez oil spill brought oil contamination to the Aniakchak coast. The spill took place on March 24, but oil did not reach the coast of the preserve until July 2. Roughly two-thirds of the 68 miles of coast were oiled, but not heavily. Cleanup continued from 1989 into 1990. Aniakchak has the lowest visitor total of any publicly open national park unit in the United States. The number of people actually entering the area is certainly higher, the result of subsistence hunting policies which do not count subsistence hunters, and a few commercial hunting guides hold commercial use permits in the preserve. The National Park Service manages Aniakchak through Katmai National Park and its superintendent. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We will see on our next video, and we'll explore new places of Peninsula Alaska, United States.